Welcome back, dear listeners, to the ever-creeping, never-sleeping corners of the Spectral Margins, where the shadows speak louder than the silence. I'm your host, Lucius Voss, your curator of all things disquieting. Tonight marks a milestone, our 14th journey into the unknown, and what better way to mark the occasion than with two stories that peel back the skin of perception and crack the bones of reality beneath. First, we slip into the mind of a woman shattered by grief, and something far worse, in You Have New Messages, penned by the evocative N.M. Brown. This tale draws us into the aching aftermath of a tragedy where memories are unreliable and the boundary between truth and madness buckles under pressure. What remains of the self when guilt becomes your ghost? Then, in our second tale, Tor Anders Ulven returns to Spectral Margins with the Pavlovian Piggy. Here, horror takes a surreal and satirical turn, as we're introduced to a man driven by desperation and denied dignity, until he makes a deal with something not quite of this world. Be warned, this pig doesn't squeal. It teaches, and it doesn't stop. Are you hungry for answers, or just hungry? So lean in, listen close, let your mind fray at the edges, because here, we don't just tell stories, we unmake them.
Hey, you've reached Aaron and Katie. We aren't home right now, but leave us a message and we will get back to you. Thanks. Katie, this is your mother. You didn't call last night and missed lunch with us today. I am getting very worried. Please call us back, okay?
I listen to the message and look at my wife's face, eyes glazed over and lips contorted. Her fingers fall limply from their grasp on my arm. My hands continue to shake even after I let go of her neck, and she drops to the floor. Rage still burns through my veins while my heart continues to break. You're probably wondering what happened or why I find myself in the situation that I'm in. You also may already think that I'm a terrible person. Before you jump to any definite conclusions, let me tell you the whole story of how I got here. Katie and I met in our early 20s, and she says it was love at first sight. She said she noticed me before I noticed her. We hung out after work one night, and that night turned into a relationship that lasted 8 years. She entered my bed and never left it. We seldom left each other's side. We lived together right away, always hung out together, and we even worked together at a few jobs over the years. We had a wonderful 5 years or so until we started to try to have children. That's when her depression started. She would withdraw and go quiet. Her silence was like ice, too cold for me to touch. I couldn't understand why things couldn't still be happy with just us. I know how badly she wanted to be a mother, but we still had each other. We had a connection we dreamt about for most of our young lives that some people never find. We started out with just the two of us, and we're happy. We could still be happy, just the two of us. After about 2 years, I made an appointment with a fertility clinic. We both needed to be checked to see what the holdup was. They were able to find that her fallopian tubes were ravaged with cysts. They had to be removed, right along with any hope or chance we had of having our own biological child. Honestly, as terrible as it sounds to say, I'm glad we went. Not because of the result, but because we were able to find a problem that Katie had and fix it. I tried to be there for her, tried to sympathize and help her cope. The upcoming winter season didn't seem to be helping either. We tried marriage counseling and individual therapy for her. I even spoke to a few adoption lawyers to ask about the process to give us options. It's not what she had planned, but I always support her and her dreams. If she wanted a baby and I couldn't give it to her, then this seemed to be the next best option to me. She wouldn't hear of it, of course. Adoption was like a dirty word to her. She actually cringed when I first said it to her. She couldn't handle the idea of raising someone that she didn't nurture and grow in her womb. Forget about saving another child's quality of life. She was too narcissistic for that.
I'll only be a disappointment to them, Aaron. If I don't feel that connection, they will sense it, and that's not fair to them. You raise a child for the majority of its life, and that's just fine. However, when they get to a certain age, they want to know all about their birth parents. They want to know everything about them. And you have no idea how many birth parents pop up wanting to know their kids. And wouldn't you know, it always seems to happen after they turn 18.
She would say. No matter how I went about the situation, it always ended in tears, nights on the couch, and the silence of a frostbitten atmosphere. She seemed to have started to come around after about a couple of months. I came home and found her listening to music and swirling around the kitchen tiles in her socks. She had painted her fingernails a metallic baby blue.
In honor of wintertime,
she told me excitedly. To me, her painting her nails was a great thing. If she was pampering herself, she was happy. She was present. She was my Katie again. I couldn't help but smile when I saw the woman that I had married so many years ago. She even told me she joined a social media group about infertility and loved the support she was getting. It gave her strength to hear other people's struggles and get to share her own with people who utterly understood. I was happy for her. I wanted to tell her that I was there for her too, and I also understood that if she shared with anyone, it needed to be me, her partner. I was the other person sitting in the chair when the doctor told us. I had visions and dreams crushed too. She didn't need to hear that right now though. Now she was happy, so I was happy. She certainly was getting support. Her phone would constantly vibrate with notifications and messages, sometimes at all hours of the night. I figured, well, it was a big group, and it's not the same time everywhere in the world. She must have set it to notify her every time someone posts something or likes something of hers. She needs support from women right now who understand. Katie took it very seriously. I'd hand over her phone when it was near me and went off. She would give me looks, Looks like a kid gives his peeking neighbor during a test before he covers his paper so he can't copy.
Hey, babe.
She said, looking at me with dancing eyes.
You know, some of the women of the group are talking about picking a weekend and doing a spa meet and greet to put more people in contact with each other and for women to get pampered and cry on each other and things like that. It's not like we have to find anyone to watch our kids.
She tried to joke with a pained smile.
Does this sound like something you'd like to go to with me?
I knew if I hesitated too long, it was going to be bad one way or another. I would have to take off work. God knows where this meeting place was going to be. The chances that it would have been in our city, hell, our state even, were slim to none. Honestly, all of the crying would be so unsettling and awkward for me. Yes, I did love my wife. She's the only one I've ever loved in my life. However, infertility was already something I had made peace with and accepted months ago. I couldn't bring the level of understanding to the table that was needed for this. Would you like me to, honey, or do you need to be with your new women friends? I honestly want to go and support you if you need me, though it would be super awkward if I was the only man there. There are men in this group, right? When I said this, she tried to stifle a giggle by biting her lower lip. She shook her head no and then burst into giggles, apologizing in between breaths.
Not really, no. There are just a couple, and those are mainly joint accounts. Aaron, you don't have to go. I will totally be okay and understand. But I think this will really help me. Besides, this will give us a chance to miss each other. I'm sure I will come back as a refreshed woman. I don't think you're unsupportive or uncaring.
It turned out that it was 2 weeks away and the next state over. From where we were located, it would only take her 3.5 hours by car. She would have no problem getting there and having her weekend and then driving back when she woke up on Monday. I was going to surprise her by making a meal plan and rearranging the living room while she was gone. I wanted to take care of all the little tasks she nagged me about, but I never got to while I had the time myself. The time came for her to leave, and I sent her off with a kiss and my favorite t-shirt. I told her, "You wear this on your saddest cry day. I want to still be the one to wipe your tears even if I can't be there." Again, she got a pained look on her face, but she shook it off with a smile.
Thank you for understanding. I'll miss you, and I'll call you every day.
She told me. I kissed her and she left, driving off into her weekend of healing. After picking up and cleaning the floors, I was almost ready to start rearranging our living room. I had been putting off cleaning the dust in the ceiling and fans for way too long. Neither of us really wanted to do it, but I was the taller one, so the task generally fell to me. She would be so happy. She'd be proud that I did that when she came home. A refreshed Katie coming home to a refreshed house. She called at around 9 p.m. and let me know that she'd got there all right and that she missed me already. She blew phone kisses after a knock at the door.
Hey, that's my friend. I'll call you in the morning, okay? I love you.
She said before getting off the phone. I hoped this would help her and help us be what we once were. Around the middle of the next day, Saturday, she informed me that her phone was dying. I looked at the counter and saw both of our wall chargers laying there, so I called her and told her to just use the car charger, but not to leave it in while the car was turned off because A, someone could steal her phone, and B, it could kill her battery. I missed her and would do so, but I really didn't want to have to drive 3 hours just to jump her car, just to drive home again. She didn't know cars, and you can't always depend on strangers, especially another state away, even if it only was hours from home. She promised me that she would be fine, that she couldn't talk long, but she loved me and missed me like crazy. For the rest of the day, when I called her, it would go to voicemail. I was just thankful that she was able to tell me what had happened, so I wasn't worried when I suddenly couldn't reach her. It was thoughtful of her to let me know so I wouldn't lose my mind and worry. I mean, she hadn't ever met these people before. They could have been anyone. Who knows the conclusions my mind would have jumped to? I should have made sure that she packed the charger, I thought at the time. I sent her a "have fun, our bed is cold without you" text from work. I wanted my message of love to be the first thing she saw when her phone had more battery life. I couldn't wait to smell her hair again. Before long, it was Monday, the day she was to come home. We chattered excitedly on the phone while she packed. Before long, I rushed off the phone to get the last-minute things ready for her arrival. Our home missed her as much as I did, I think. It was so much darker without her there, the emptiness swallowing me. I'd be glad to have her in my arms. I bought some Reunited and It Feels So Good alcohol for us to enjoy, and then went home and waited. She walked through the door, and I gave her a hug that lifted her off the ground. She did look different. I couldn't place it, but it was different. It almost had the glow of her being centered, finally able to find some peace with herself. I was glad about that. We both needed that for her. Seeing her so rejuvenated made me feel the same, and we relished our time together. We were so wrapped up that she completely forgot to say anything about the house. That's okay though. She's here now, and that's all I ever wanted. The holidays came and went, with Katie seeming like a bulb growing brighter every day. I was thankful she was able to turn it into positivity. For some childless couples, the holiday season can be a big slap in the face. Her group even did a Secret Santa, one of the members sending Katie a very name brand, awfully expensive, very out of our budget gift. I was happy for her. She deserved nice things. She really lucked out on her Secret Santa. One day, I got a call when Katie was in the shower. It was her mom saying that her father was having some chest pain, so she was taking him to the hospital. I relayed the message to her and she rushed out. I handed her some clothes, her purse, and keys. I lovingly told her to keep me updated on her way out. I hoped that my father-in-law was going to be okay. I would have gone with her, but I had to work in a little over an hour. I heard a buzzing and looked around our room to see where it was coming from. It sounded like a phone, but I checked my phone and it wasn't me. I get on the floor and peer under the bed, and there's Katie's phone. It probably fell out of her purse when I picked it up and handed it to her. I couldn't help myself. I unlocked her screen. What I saw made the color drain from my body and curdled my stomach instantly.
Katie, I had so much fun this weekend. I can't believe how amazing everything was. I didn't even want to sleep. It's crazy how well things went. Now we know.
Alan. Oh my God, me too. I felt so comfortable with you. 3.5 days? It's like we have been together for years.
Katie, I think this group is going to have monthly meetings if I can manage. We have been talking for so long. Then we met and it was like an instant connection. I can't wait to see you again. I knew I loved you, and then it was confirmed for me 100% when I saw you. I can't wait to meet your son.
Alan. Me too. It's all I can think about. I know that my kid will love you just as much as I do. You are perfection, the total package, a trophy to be shown and proud of. To say you're hot would be an insult. You are beautiful in every way. Now that we know it's real, you have to work on your end of the situation. I won't be played for a chump. If you do love me and you want to keep me, you need to do the same decision making. This isn't a game, and it's not a fairy tale. If your husband makes you happy, I'm outski. But if you want me, do the work. Text me when it's okay to text back. I love you, gorgeous. I read the messages repeatedly until the words blurred through my tears. My mind raced to try to think of something, anything to make this look different than from what it obviously was. She knew when she asked me to come with her that I would say no. That's why she made it so easy for me. We had never taken separate getaways before. All of our vacations were always taken together. She had changed. She was happy. And now I knew that it was because of him. She had healed, all right. Healed herself right into someone else's family. She reacts like I say the word abortion instead of adoption, and now she can't wait to meet his son? This is too much. She had thought that I wouldn't understand her healing process, and she was fucking right. There was nothing to make me understand this. When was she going to tell me? Was she going to tell me? Would I just have to come home one day to a note saying, "Adios, Aaron. It's been fun"? I raced to the trash can and threw up, my love turning to bile in my throat and spewing out. All her words, all the love, all of the plans and promises turned to poison in my heart. Every memory a lie, every struggle unfelt by her. Did she even want children with me? Did she ever love me? What was the point of all of this? Every single question branched off into 5 more questions, attacking my mind like a murder of crows. I lit a cigarette on the way to my car, drove to the corner store, and bought a lot of beer. I never drank, but if there was ever a time for it, now was that time. I chugged one in the parking lot and opened another for the ride home. My father always said that the road to a man's self-destruction always began with a woman. It looked like he was right, I thought, as I threw a crushed can out of the window. I lit another cigarette as I pulled into the driveway and saw her car there. Without thought or care, I drank 2 more before going inside, lit cigarette and all. She was sitting there on our bed with her phone lying in front of her, with the screen lit up. Her eyes widened when she saw me smoking in the house. She opened her mouth to say something about it, but then quickly closed it, realizing the shots weren't hers to call here. She wasn't upset or crying. She just looked numb. I've never wanted to hit a woman in my life, but my hand throbbed with the desire to. I rubbed my hand on my jeans to try to disperse the energy. I loomed over her and cried. You can tell Alan that it's safe for him to message you now. He can message you anytime he wants, and it's not my problem anymore. You've never been who I thought you were. The past 8 years were all a lie, I said as my words turned to blubbering tears. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing my heart break, but I couldn't help it. Through all my anger and all of my hate, I still saw her there sitting on the bed. She looked so small and lost. All I wanted to do was hold her. That wouldn't happen, though. Not ever again, if I could help it. She finally cried and apologized. She promised me that she would end it and block him and get rid of social media entirely to work on us. She said she wanted to be a better wife and get lost. She said she got mixed up and the situation became too big for her to get out of. She needed help. She actually had the gall to tell me that she was glad she got caught and now I could help her get out of it. She said she never stopped loving me and never loved him.
I felt neglected by you, Aaron. I felt like I lost you and myself when we couldn't have kids. I thought I had found myself and figured out life, but I was wrong. I went to leave you, and I couldn't do it. Aaron, I will do anything to fix this. We can come out of this stronger and with a better understanding of each other.
We spent an entire week apart, me taking a trip of my own out of state to clear my head. She went to my parents and cried to them about what she had done. She apologized for hurting their son and asked for their forgiveness, figuring it would eventually lead to mine. Though manipulative and inconsiderate to my parents' mental health, it worked. She picked me up from the airport, and again, I hugged her so hard I lifted her off the ground. We went home and reconnected. We really talked for hours into the night, and then again when we woke up the next day. We had worked a lot out and decided what we needed from each other to get past this and not let it ruin us. The only thing I asked of her was to block his number from her phone and to never, under any circumstances, positive or negative, have contact with him again. This was my time to heal. And that was the only way I was going to be able to do it. I wouldn't forgive her twice. Though I didn't tell her at the time, she did ruin us. I saw Alan's picture next to his messages, so I knew his face. Every time I would go to kiss her or touch her, I would see his face like a ghost. Alan making her laugh. Him kissing her forehead, making her sweat. I hated it. I wanted to hate her, but I couldn't. Despite everything, she was still the woman I loved and always would be, even if I did leave her. We would get through this. A part of me already died when I found out what she did. Maybe that part will grow back stronger, better. A few more months went by, Valentine's Day came and went with no issue. I was nervous about it, but Katie tried her best to make sure it was a good day for me, for us. I started to see the ghost of Alan less and less. Katie was turning into the woman I married again. It was terrible that she needed this to get back to that, but as long as I had her, we could work it out. She would never leave me again. She promised. She had deleted social media as promised, and Alan's number remained blocked. My heart started to slowly heal. I was well on my way in love with her again. Not like nothing happened, but like we didn't let it break us. I stopped checking up on her as much. She felt terrible about it and seemed to punish herself more any day than I ever could. So we let it fade into the past. She'd never leave me again. She promised.
Hey, Aaron, can you please look at my phone? I think I have some sort of virus.
She asked me, concerned. I laughed at her and joked. You know how you get that, don't you? Too much freaky peeky? What kind of sick shit have you been looking up? She slapped at my arm, giggling on her way to our kitchen.
No, come on. I can't get any of my pictures to load, and I wanted to send some to my mom. You're off today. Please?
I told her I would help her and to give me an hour with her phone. I would back up her pictures and factory reset if the problem was too bad. I transferred her pictures over to our computer just in case. Then I unplugged her phone and looked through her messages to make sure she didn't lose any important numbers or pictures if I reset it. I went to the text settings to see if there was any locked or stored messages with pictures of us. I saw an option on the phone that said blocked messages. With very wary but overwhelming curiosity, I opened the folder. There were so many, all from Alan. Haven't heard from you. I'm sorry about how I act sometimes. You know I love you. I just think that when two people want to be together, they should do anything they can to do so. It's so hard for me to imagine the situation you're in at home, and I just get frustrated. Tell me you were thinking of me. I love you, Toots. I am so lucky to have you. I thought of you last night before going to bed, but that's nothing new. You know how hard you make me. Just want you to know that no matter how mad I get at you, I can never stop loving you, and I'll never turn my back on you. You look beautiful today. I love talking to you. It's been the best part of my day for months. Good morning. You are rocking it today, babe. They went on like that, and my mind snapped. The frail bandages holding my fragile heart and mentality all fell away. I looked over to her across the room. My breath was coming out in faster and bigger huffs, and my face was burning red. She looked at me, confused.
What?
Before she finished her word, I was out of my chair and in front of her. The time for words has ended now. I only asked you for one thing, just one fucking thing. I stood up to leave, and she launched up from the couch, throwing herself on me.
Aaron, please, I don't understand. We have come so far, and I've worked so hard. Why would I do that just to talk to him again? I haven't been talking to him. Don't go anywhere. I know I fucked up last year, but I wouldn't do that again.
Her sobs grew louder. No way. There was no way that she gets to be the one to cry here. She doesn't get to feel anything but shame right now. The only one who should be crying. But of course, everything was always about her. I can't even have feelings without her trying to steal them so she could end up being the victim. I have to stop it. Get her to be quiet. I slammed my hand over her mouth, but she still sobbed, soaking my hand in snot and tears, her wails growing louder and louder, repeating the same words over and over. It's as if she thought the more she said them, the more I would have believed her. The only things that I do believe are that I can't bounce back from this twice. I can't live with her. I can't live without her, as the saying goes. My hand dropped from her mouth to her throat, the other coming up to meet it. Now it was my turn to feel. I cried and sobbed as I squeezed my hands tighter and tighter. Fragmented wedding vows grunted through my teeth as I heaved with tears. I wanted my face to be the last thing she saw as the life faded from her eyes. Her wails turned to whimpers until finally barely any sound could escape at all. Till death do us part, my darling, and I promise I won't be far behind. So this is how we got here. My mother-in-law's voice on the home answering machine, her daughter turning colder by the minute on the floor, my hands shaking and my sides sore from the sobs. The light of my life is gone. Why did she have to do this to us again? She always said she was born to be my wife and that she would die for me. Well, here we are. She ended up being true to her word in one sense, at least through all of this. I checked the block list again and see a new message from 18 minutes ago. I love the way you smell, it read. Enough of this shit. I hit the call button on the message. It rings and rings until finally a woman picks up. Before I have any room to say anything, she starts yelling at me.
You have to be some kind of stupid to continue to call after all that you've done, Katie.
The woman said my wife's name as if it was disgusting on her tongue. She continues.
As far as his son and I are concerned, you might as well have been driving the car that killed him. Do you know he had messages set up pre-scheduled to send to you for 2 months? It's nice to know you have messages from him after he's dead, but what about his son? You heartless slut.
She's going on and on, hysterical with fury. I tune her out and hang up the phone without a word. I think, really think about what she has said. She said the words killed and pre-scheduled messages. Katie was telling the truth. She hadn't contacted him. This also explained why he still went on as if they were together. It really was over. She really was mine again. Oh my God, I've killed her. I run to the bathroom, rifle through the medicine cabinet, and grab a bottle. I don't plan to call the police or turn myself in. Surely, the neighbors heard the noise and called them already anyway. I don't know if I will have the courage to take the contents of this bottle. For now, I'm going to snuggle up to my sweetheart. I will hold her for as long as I can and not let go. I hold her and smell her hair as I wait for the knock to come at the door. They can try, but I'll never let her go. She will never leave me again. She promised. Till death do us part, sweetheart. And that heart-rending horror was You Have New Messages, written by N.M. Brown and performed by Victoria Voss and myself, your host, Lucius Voss. Grief makes monsters of us all, doesn't it? Especially when the face of the monster is our own. Now, from fractured minds to porcine promises, brace yourself. This next story is not for the faint of heart or the easily offended. It's weird, it's raw, and it oinks. From the mind of Tor Anders Olven and the vocal boxes of Jeff Sturdivant, Nick Goroff, Victoria Voss, and myself, this is the Pavlovian Piggy.
I don't dine out anymore. It's expensive. There's people there. You have to use cutlery. The food has weird foreign names. Pum? What the hell is a pum? You can't go in your jammies. All excellent reasons for staying home with your microwave dinner. I usually buy the ones labeled gourmet. That's French for tasty. But I wasn't always like this. Back in the day, I frequented the fine dining scene weekly. Don't get me wrong, I was never a Feinschmecker about it. That's German for being a snob. No. I just sometimes preferred the cuisine, French for food, of the local restaurants over my own rather disastrous attempts at cooking. That, and I really enjoyed showing off. Especially when I was with Jennifer. Jennifer had this particular je ne sais quoi, French for, I don't fucking know, quality, that made me question myself and my abilities daily. She was eclectic, electric, eccentric, eloquent, exotic, and, I was hoping, erotic. And I found myself struggling to meet her ever-evolving standards. She despised banalities, not once realizing the irony of what she was. The poster girl for hipster cliches. I didn't care, of course. I thought she was the coolest thing since the Beastie Boys, and the indeterminate nuances of her hair color, mixed with the haphazard placement of her body piercings, had me head over heels for her. She was obnoxious, edgy, self-absorbed, pseudo-intellectual, pretentious, all excellent qualities to look for in a potential partner. So when a buddy of mine at work, Vic, God bless his soul, he's not dead, just still stuck working at the same shitty dead-end job, mentioned something called a pop-up restaurant and how fresh and hip and trendy it was. I immediately knew I simply had to bring Jennifer there for a date. I couldn't call it a date, of course. That would be too mundane, too label-y. Maybe a food courting? Or a cuisine carnage? Brunch with benefits? I'd figure something out. So where's this place? I asked Vic. What's it called?
You don't get it,
He said.
It's a pop-up restaurant. No one knows where it's going to be until, it's there.
It was such a weird concept to me. but I guess that's why the hipsters were all over it. It was different, exciting, utterly inconvenient, and ridiculously overpriced. According to Vic, this place would pop up every week or so, usually in or around abandoned, condemned buildings. They had no webpage, no social media presence, no advertising beforehand whatsoever. The word would spread once someone found it, and they would serve customers for 666 minutes. Yeah, I know. Before closing. The Pavlovian Piggy. That's a weird fucking name, isn't it? I eyed Vic suspiciously. You sure you're just not fucking with me?
Look, places like that, I mean high-end or off-the-grid stuff,
He said.
always have weird-ass names like that. The illicit Inuit, the Dalek Llama, the Peruvian Pervert, the Pavlovian Piggy.
I mean, he wasn't wrong. If there's one thing rich people and hipsters can agree on, it's the notion that if it isn't absurdly unique in every way, it's not worth your time. I asked him to put his ear to the ground and let me know as soon as the place popped up. In the meantime, I had to convince Jennifer that I was a person she'd want to spend more than a few minutes alone with. Now, I'm not a strong believer in luck or fate or destiny as anything but statistical anomalies, but this next part had me questioning how the universe really works for quite a few months. I was walking home after working the late shift with Vic, just a few blocks, and I decided to take a shortcut through an alley I'd never set foot in at night. Why? I have no idea. I guess I was preoccupied, rigorously fashioning my would-be conversation with Jennifer in my head. As I passed a particularly heinous dumpster, a glowing neon light suddenly bathed me in a horridly garish pink. Dazed and confused, I stood there blinking, reading the erratically pulsating sign over and over again. The Pavlovian Piggy. This can't be fucking real, I muttered incoherently. But it was. A neon sign depicting a pig being stabbed repeatedly with a two-pronged fork. I wouldn't call it tasteful per se. That's Latin for as such. But it definitely captured the essence of a pig getting stabbed. I'll give it that. And I found the blood squirting from the pig's back a particularly nice touch. I kind of just slouched around for a few minutes, nervously peeping into the darkened entrance every once in a while. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but it certainly wasn't what happened.
Steve!
A weirdly high-pitched male voice suddenly called.
Come on in! We've been expecting you!
I don't know if it was the shock of hearing my name or the sight of that stubby little bald man lurking in the doorway, but I let out a rather effeminate shriek and stumbled back clumsily. How do you know my name? Was all I could muster given the circumstances.
It says so right there.
He pointed to my name tag.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I let out a sigh of relief, moments later realizing that wasn't all he had said. Wait, you're expecting me? I eyed the vague silhouette suspiciously.
Yes.
He chuckled.
We are always expecting someone. Please, Steve, do come in. You're our first guest this fine evening. Thus, you are rewarded with the grand tour.
He beckoned for me to follow him, and after a few minutes of hesitation, I bit my lip, swallowed deeply, and carefully edged my way past the cramped doorway.
I am Armand.
He smiled creepily.
Head chef and sole proprietor of this fine establishment. Please, let me show you around.
I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. Just dutifully sauntered behind the strange man down a poorly lit flight of stairs. When he stopped before a really shady-looking steel door, I was really starting to question his motives. Hey man, I'm kind of in a hurry, I mumbled, So maybe, another time?
Steve.
He turned to look at me.
It's quite alright. I know this is, how do you say it, different, but I assure you there's nothing but wonder and amazement behind this door.
He grabbed the handle, and with an unbelievably loud screeching sound, the door pulled open. I squinted like crazy into the darkness of the room beyond, but couldn't see anything but indistinct, amorphous shapes.
Do you wish to invite someone to join you?
Armand asked.
Word travels fast, so you better do it now.
Yes, I said, the thought of Jennifer warming all the right parts of my body. Can I text them now?
Here,
he said.
Let me. There's a rather complex password and I wouldn't want you to misspell it.
I handed him the phone and he started typing away in a frenzy. I turned my attention to the room. What on earth was hidden in there? Tables? Chairs? A kitchen? Waldo? Without really noticing, I had moved closer, my head now slowly reaching inside.
Go on, take a peek,
Armand said.
This place is for you and you alone.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Before I could finish the sentence, I was pushed into the pitch-black room forcefully, barely able to recover, before plummeting headfirst into the solid concrete floor. I rolled around for a good 10 seconds before I heard the sinister screeching of the door, followed by a deafening sound as it slammed shut. "Hey!" I yelled hysterically. "Let me out! I can't see shit in here!" I'm not sure if you've ever been locked in a previously unknown location, engulfed by pitch darkness, but here's what usually follows. Blindly running about, flailing of arms, desperate screams. Lots of pain as you bump into unseen objects. Then, after a while, defeated capitulation. Tears. Rolling yourself into a sobbing, inconsolable ball in a randomly chosen corner.
Steve.
A crackling voice beckoned from somewhere in the darkness.
The show is about to start. Please turn your attention to the scene.
I failed to locate the source of the voice, partly because it remained obscure, but mostly because of the light suddenly beaming through a window at the far side of the room. It was large, maybe 6 by 6 feet, and it looked completely out of place. I edged closer, sweat now dripping down my forehead into my eyes. It's hard to explain exactly why I was so taken aback by what I saw in the room beyond the window. It could have been Armand, the stubby little bald fucker standing by a stove at the far end, waving at me theatrically. Or it could have been the naked man, sitting on what appeared to be a makeshift kitchen counter in the middle of the room.
Welcome,
the crackling voice boomed,
to the Pavlovian Piggy.
Armand's lips moved moments before I could hear the voice, and I quickly realized he was speaking into a microphone, addressing me directly from the other room. I peered around frantically, looking for the hidden speaker, but my surroundings were still mostly veiled by the dark.
You see,
Armand said,
our experience isn't only about the food. It's about the journey, the preparation, the art. Life is nothing without the art of things.
"You sick little fuck!" I yelled, slamming my fists into the window. "Let me out!" I noticed an indistinct shadow moving in the room, and Armand briefly turned his attention toward it. He nodded vaguely, and a broad, wicked smile manifested on his lips.
Ah,
Armand said, his gaze now locked on me.
It seems we have our first order of the evening. Marvelous!
He picked up a tiny object from the counter and raised it above his head. It wasn't until I heard the vague tinkling sound that I realized what it was. A small bell.
And thus
Armand exclaimed.
begins the Pavlovian experience.
For a moment, nothing happened. My gaze darted all around the room, trying to find a source of distress. There were plenty. Armand, knives, axes, saws, a naked, apathetic man. No, I murmured, suddenly realizing what was going on. No. Stop it! I slammed my fists into the window, tried to kick it, throw my body weight into it, but it wouldn't budge. Armand just laughed. Weird, high-pitched snorts crackling forth from the hidden speaker.
Just watch him,
he said.
It is art. Pure, raw, unfiltered art.
The naked man was wielding a large butcher's knife in his right hand, and with slow, methodical movements, he was slicing into his own thigh. Blood ran from the wounds in streams, dripping down into metal trays below. He remained completely calm, unfazed by the horror of it, and his face never once changed from that blank, indifferent expression. This continued for minutes, until finally he ripped from his thigh a large chunk of meat, which he gently handed to Armand.
And now for the cooking.
Armand smiled at me.
That's the boring part.
I slumped down on the cold concrete floor, body drained of energy, mind empty, soul tainted. I couldn't cry. There were no more tears. I'd vomited all over the room, the place now a horrible, stinking cesspool of despair. I could hear the sizzling sound of the frying pan, Armand whistling a merry tune, my own heart beating in uneven, frantic intervals.
Next order,
Armand sang.
We need something different.
I heard the bell tinkling again, soon followed by the indescribable, gruesome sound of a knife slowly cutting into human flesh. I couldn't watch. I buried my face in my hands. Another sound, a sharp, violent jerk, indicated without a doubt that a new bloody piece of meat changed hands.
Steve,
Armand said playfully.
You simply must watch. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I feel sick just thinking about it. My stomach churns as I'm writing this. But I have to be truthful, or else what's the point? There's nothing I would love more than to tell you that I didn't, that I never again let my eyes wander to that room. But I'd be lying. Every once in a while, I'd look up, cued by the detestable tinkle of that bell. There was only stomach acid left to throw up, but I'd retch and convulse on the floor regardless. The sight of the willing, living dish, bringing new, unthinkable waves of nausea for every missing pound of flesh. He was covered in blood and bleeding wounds now, more dead than alive. Yet he kept slicing, cutting, ripping, tearing. Armand would tease me, prod me with his words, knowing full well that I, too, was now part of his grotesque Pavlovian art piece, woefully unable to ignore the macabre magnum opus transgressing before me. I was forced, by my own twisted, conditioned mind, to watch in disgust and horror and perverse amazement as that poor, helpless man cut himself to death, one sinister tinkle after another. Did it last 666 minutes? Did it take him that long to die? I honestly don't know. I passed out repeatedly, only to awaken screaming hysterically, terrified by the desperate and bestial nature of my own howls. How many times? Too many to count. The last thing I remember, now etched into my mind forever, was watching the mutilated remains of that man collapsing into the blood-filled trays on the floor, accompanied by Armand's insane, high-pitched voice.
The Pavlovian Piggy is now closed.
I must have been out for hours. My head was spinning, my body felt like I'd gone 12 rounds against a gorilla, and my eyes were hardly even operational. I squinted around, disoriented, before it dawned on me where I was. I stumbled to my feet, walking around in circles, trying to make sense of my surroundings. I was still in that room, but the door was open. I turned around, staggered towards the window, the ominous light still shining through it. But to my utter disbelief, it was spotless, clean and empty. No stove, no kitchen counters, no knives or axes, no blood, no mutilated body, no Armand. Fucking impossible, I muttered weakly. And it was. But I was in no shape to question anything, let alone investigate the disappearance of a murder-suicide kitchen. I just wanted to get the hell out of there, forget it ever happened, never talk about it, ever again. Maybe, just maybe, I'd fool myself into believing just that it was a dream, a horrible nightmare, a vivid hallucination. I stumbled through the door, barely able to stand upright, falling to my knees like a sack of shit as I passed the threshold. But there, on the ground, right in front of me, my phone. I grabbed it, desperately scrolling through a bunch of unread messages, all from Jennifer. I felt the sickness returning, my empty stomach convulsing in violent spasms.
Jay. I'll be there ASAP. Jay. Where are you? I'm outside. Jay. Inside now. PW worked. Jay. Fuck you, Steve. Where are you? Jay. Fuck you for standing me up. Eating without you. Jay. Fucker. Jay. Food was delicious. Fucking amazing. You missed out, shitbag. Fuck you.
That was The Pavlovian Piggy, written by Tor Anders Olven and performed by Jeff Sturdivant, Nick Goroff, Victoria Voss, and myself. And so we arrive at the end of another crooked corridor. You have new messages reminded us that memory is a maze, one that can collapse inward when haunted by unbearable loss. And the Pavlovian Piggy? Well, let's just say that sometimes the only thing scarier than becoming something else is getting exactly what you wished for. If tonight's episode rattled your nerves or skewered your senses of reality, good. That means you're still paying attention. I'm Lucius Voss, and you've been listening to Spectral Margins, where horror lingers just beyond the line, waiting to be heard. Until next time, keep your lights low and the mind open. Good night.